Welcome back, everyone, to Raising Special Kids Quick Connect Facebook Live series. I'm Brittany, and I'm excited to be back hosting today. For those just jumping on, welcome. I'm really excited about today's topic for our RSK Quick Connect. So I'm just going to jump right to it because we have a lot of information to tackle, and I want to make sure we have time to share this with our families. So we get calls all the time at Raising Special Kids about Social Security. So families are confused on, what is SSI, Supplemental Security Income, SSI, and what is SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance. And admittedly, sometimes those words get mixed up because it's confusing, especially with the word disability in SSDI. And so we get a lot of questions from families wondering, will my child or adult qualify, how the process works, what they use for eligibility, and more. So we're going to go over some basics today and hopefully make the process seem a little less intimidating for you families. So let's clarify the difference as we get started on Supplemental Security Income, SSI, and Social Security Disability Insurance. And admittedly, I have some notes because there's a lot of info and I don't want to miss anything. So both programs provide assistance to individuals with disabilities who qualify. The SSDI program pays benefits to you and certain family members if you are insured. And basically that means if you have worked long enough and recently enough and paid Social Security taxes on your earnings. Okay, so that's SSDI. SSI, Supplemental Security Income, I have to say that slowly, that is a little bit different. So that pays benefits to adults and children who meet requirements for a qualifying disability and who have limited income and resources. Albeit confusing. Even I get confused sometimes on the differences. But today we're mainly going to talk about SSI, Supplemental Security Income. That's what most of the children and families have questions about, and most of the loved ones at Raising Special Kids that we serve, their families are needing to apply for SSI. So we're going to focus on that today. So SSI is a federal program funded by general tax revenues. It's not from Social Security taxes. That's different. It provides monthly payments basically to make funds available for basic needs, food, clothing, shelter, personal care items. Not everybody gets the same amount. If you live in a state where they contribute to the supplemental security income dollars, you may get more. If you do work and you are able to, depending, there's calculations and formulas on how much you can make. We'll talk about that a little bit later on how to access that info. Or you have any resources, or you're married. All of that are determining factors on figuring out how much SSI income your loved one would receive. If you're SSI, you may be able to get Social Security if your income is less than $2,000. A couple may be able to get SSI if they have resources with less than $3,000. So it is a little complicated. However, let's just clarify some things depending on if you're applying for a child under 18 or for an adult. So similar, qualifying criteria, but it's a little bit different. But all in all, to be eligible to receive SSI benefits, so that's Supplemental Security Income. I don't know why I have to think about that for a minute and say it slowly. There are some things you have to meet. So you have to be at least 65, or for many of our families, be blind or disabled. And for the disabilities, there's no age limit. You also have to have limited income or resources to qualify, and limited things that you own or assets. You have to be a U.S. citizen or a national of the United States and reside in one of the 50 states. Now, there are children, some exceptions if your child is in the military and they're assigned to permanent duty outside of the U.S., they may be able to receive SSI benefits if they meet the qualifying criteria. So for children under 18, their parents' income is taken into consideration when determining if they can receive SSI. So of course they have to have a qualifying disability and meet those requirements, but their parents' income is also considered. Now, when a young person turns 18, or if you have an adult already, then you're applying for SSI for them, it's based on their personal income. So that is a significant difference. For children, the child must have a physical or mental condition, and I'm going to read these so we make sure we get through them clearly. So they must have a physical or mental condition that very seriously limits his or her activities, and the condition must have lasted or be expected to last at least 1 year or be terminal. For an adult, the individual must not be able to engage in any substantial gains. So they must not be able to work because of their disability or mental impairment, and that is either expected to be terminal as well or lasted, for a continuous period or more than 12 months. Now, there is an extensive list of medical conditions and diagnoses that the Social Security Administration considers. I did pin some links in the chat that have all the links I'm going to be mentioning today, but you can go on SSI and click on the links for the childhood diagnoses and for the adults, and there's a lot of them. So look on there if you have questions to see what disabilities and medical conditions they consider. Something to note is we get a lot of questions from families, does my child have to qualify for our state's disability programs, like the Division of Developmental Disabilities or Arizona Long-Term Care, to get supplemental security income, SSI? Not always. There are many other diagnoses that don't fall under the parameters of DDD and ALTEX, but they may qualify for SSI. So definitely check out that list because there are a lot of individuals that may be able to get SSI benefits that may not qualify for our state's disability programs. So how do you apply? So you can either go online to ssa.gov, and we have this information in the chat, and start the process online. Something very important to note, it's a two-step process. So you can create an account and get the process started on their online portal, or we encourage you to call their local office. So we did put the office locator in the chat as well. The 1-800 number for Social Security it's really hard to get in touch with someone at times. So we encourage you, if you want to do it over the phone, which everyone has the right to, if you don't have internet access or you prefer doing your application over the phone, you can call, and there's an office locator, so you can find one near you. We are told there are some SSI offices that are doing in-person interviews, but many are still doing them over the phone. So however you decide to do it, whether you're applying for your child or an adult for the first time, we do at Raising Special Kids recommend you start online, get that application process started. And what happens is once you do that, it will initiate the Social Security Administration to call you and set up the actual application phone interview. So the first step is not the application. It's just getting their information into the system, getting the process started. They will schedule an appointment with you to go over, you'll talk with a benefits counselor to learn more about the program. They'll share with you information on eligibility. They'll ask you a bunch of questions. That is the second step. And so whether you decide to apply online at ssa.gov or get a hold of your local office and start that way, they will set up a separate phone interview. And that phone interview is when the actual official application is put in for Social Security. So if in some cases, we hear families are Raising Special Kids where they received SSI benefits, their child received SSI benefits when they were a minor. They qualified based on their disability and their parents' income met those requirements as well. And so they received the SSI income as a minor. It doesn't just automatically roll over when they turn 18. So we encourage you to call your local office and ask them what you need to do to get that transferred over. Or sometimes families, their child may qualify, but then, their income status changes and maybe they're not eligible anymore. In that case, we still encourage you to contact your local office. It just is a little easier on families to get a hold of someone. And in our experience, the process seems to go smoother. So the good news is while this process seems really intimidating, the Social Security Administration does have some helpful checklists on their website. They're fact sheets, and they're called starter kits. So I did put the link in the chat. There's one for children and one for adults with disabilities, but it provides information you need to know, what to bring to that initial interview. It talks about the questions they may ask. If you don't have everything, still go to the interview. Please keep your appointment. The SSI representative will help you figure out, and help you get the other information and documentation you need. They also provide information about the disability programs, because as you know, SSI, SSDI, all of those parts and processes can be intimidating for families, but they do break it down and make it easier to understand and kind of take the mystery out of it. So please check out those toolkits if you're getting ready to apply for your loved one. Super, super helpful. So however you do it, whether you do it online or over the phone, once you've talked with the benefits counselor and that official application has been put in, the Social Security Administration will review it. They do have a medical review board, and they'll look at the information and decide, does this individual meet the criteria for eligibility? It can take a while. Out of all the programs and systems that our families deal with, admittedly, sometimes this one takes the longest. It's a federal program, and sometimes it can take months. The good news is if it takes a while and your child or young adult or adult is deemed eligible, they back pay to that official application date. So not the day you first called or first applied online, but once the benefits counselor has put in that official application, if it takes months and months to get approved, the Social Security Administration will back pay to that official start date. So that is great. And again, please, if you have applied and it seems like you're waiting forever, go to that office locator, links in the comments, and contact your local office. You can check on the status of that application. So they do have a medical review board in determining eligibility. They may ask you to take your child or adult to get additional evaluations through a state doctor at their expense. So if they don't feel like they have enough medical information to determine eligibility, they may, share with you that you need to get additional evaluations done by a physician that they send you to. Some families dispute this and have been successful. So if you don't think it's necessary, or you saw a physician recently with your child and you want to provide that information or what have you, let the Social Security Administration know you'd like to appeal that decision. And some families have been able to not do that, but it's very common and it happens all the time that they want individuals to be seen for additional evaluation. So if that happens to you for your child or a loved one, don't be surprised. Now, if you're denied, you do have a right to appeal that decision. The Social Security Administration does have that information on their website about the appeal process. Again, it's in the comments, so you can check that out and fill out appeal forms. You can request an appeal online for them to reconsider their decision. You can also ask to have it be reviewed by an administrative law judge and a review by the appeals council. So typically what happens is when you get the determination in the mail, if you're denied, usually SSI, they will send you a letter explaining why you were denied, and they may recommend or give guidance on what appeal option you should start with. So read that letter and check it out. And for more information on how to appeal, please head to their website. You can start the process there. If your loved one is approved, the Social Security Administration, they'll ask one of you, the parents typically, to be a representative payee. And that basically means you're going to be in charge of helping make sure the SSI funds are spent responsibly and for the basic needs and care for that individual. So during, once you've been accepted, they will ask, which parent or even a guardian, who's going to be the representative payee. Typically you're on their bank account and you account for how those funds are spent, whether it's saving receipts, maintaining accurate records. It's really important for that representative payee to do so, because often they will require you to provide that information to ensure that the SSI funds have been spent on food, housing, clothing, medical care, comfort items, etc. SSI funds can be deposited into a bank account or on a prepaid debit card, and you are able to make that decision and decide what would be best for your family. Some additional points to note that some families are surprised about. So if your loved one, child or adult, is deemed eligible to receive SSI income, they will often automatically be given the opportunity to be enrolled in AHCCCS, the Arizona Health Cost Containment System, the Medicaid state insurance. Some of our families, they don't have insurance yet, so great. Now they also have health insurance through AHCCCS because of being eligible for Social Security. Some of our kids that are, that families call in about, they already are in our state's disability programs. They may have GDD and Arizona long-term care insurance. So if that happens, if they try to give you access and your child already has Arizona long-term care, just let them know, because they need to know about that, because obviously your child is already insured on a specific type of access plan and they don't need that coverage. Often families are concerned about if their young adult or a loved one that's an adult, can they work? Can they still receive Social Security income and have that supplemental help and still have a job? The good news is yes, and we really love the website DB 101. It has all the information you need to know about employment and also being able to receive SSI funds. So it'll tell you, how much you're allowed to make. It'll calculate it for you and how it all works, and we encourage you to check that out. It's in the comments, and it's certainly encouraged for individuals to work. So if that's a possibility, don't worry. There is a way, depending on what they make, for them still to receive SSI benefits if that's needed. So in closing, we hope that we've clarified some things for you about this process. We know it can be intimidating for families and even a little bit complicated. So if you need additional assistance in applying for Social Security, trying to figure out what's appropriate for your loved one, please reach out to Raising Special Kids. We'd love to help you. Our contact information is in the comments. And with that, we hope you guys have a great day. See you next time.